there's no such thing as balance. There's no such thing as balance. You can't balance 50 million things. You can't balance 5 things. You can't balance 3 things. What I've learned in my journey in life and business is you have to prioritize.
Welcome back to the Leaving a Rich Legacy podcast. I am your host, Jessica Rich, and this podcast is more than just a series of conversations. It is truly a love letter to my younger self and to anyone that's seeking courage, empowerment, and peeling back the layers that are shared within our community and the experiences that we've had. And sometimes they're topics that we don't often discuss in the Black and Brown community. In our new series, I Choose Me, we are diving deep into the transformative journeys of our incredible guests who have bravely made the choice to put themselves first. Together, we'll unpack these conversations. Again, we'll talk about some experiences that are not often discussed in our community, but we will also celebrate the power of self love, resilience, and authenticity. So I'm super excited for our conversation today. I ask that you join me as we embrace this conversation and together create an opportunity to leave a richer legacy for the generations to come. Now, this is my 51st episode. We've taken a break to allow me to make some transitions, also experiences some losses. But the purpose of this podcast is to create a legacy and allow us to create generational patterns from the generations before. So, with this being my 51st episode, I am super excited to introduce our special guest today, which is Nikki Blakely-Simmons. She is doing amazing things within the community. She is in real estate. She's a development leader. She's a speaker. She's an author. She is all the things, and she's truly inspirational. So I'm excited to hear about how she is impacting the community. Nikki, thank you so much for being here with me today.
And thank you so much for the amazing introduction. And I just want to thank you for allowing me an opportunity to be a part of your podcast. And congratulations to you on your 51st episode.
Thank you. I am so excited to have you. And we had a conversation that 51, the 51st episode was special not only for me, but for you as well. So I am super excited to hear a little bit more about you, about your story. And I just ask that, we kick it off and you start us off by just telling us a little bit about yourself. Who is Nikki?
Well, Nikki is 51. So that's why this podcast is so special for me. I turned 51 last year, Halloween. So I'll be 52 this year. And I'm just blessed to still be here on this earth. It's a blessing to just have breath in my body and for God to use me for his purpose here on earth to bless and give back, save, change, and transform lives. That's my motto. So I am a myriad of things, but first, I'm a woman of God. Secondly, I am a business owner, full-time entrepreneur. I am a realtor, real estate advisor, coach, mentor here in the Metro Atlanta area. I am working on my doctoral program in leadership innovation and continuous improvement. I have a master's degree in instructional design, so training, coaching, developing learning products for adult learners is my passion and my goal. Outreach and helping to improve others' lives through education is what I live for. Outside of that, I am married to my best friend. I have 4 adult children, 1 granddaughter who will be 3 this year. I love riding Harleys and I love traveling. I love to dance. I love to sing. And I am a lover of people. And that's a little bit about Nikki.
Love it. I always love to hear people share about themselves just because, our identities are made up of different things. And I love to hear what's important, what people like to talk about. It's not just all the titles, but a little bit about like you. I love that you talked about riding the Harleys and, your personal life, but a little bit of business. So, that is one of my favorite questions of the podcast and just love to hear all the things that you're doing. So, can you share a little bit about your journey of choosing yourself? This series for me, I Choose Me, has been my mantra for the last few years. And it's something that I've come to learn to embrace when I think about self care, self love, prioritizing my well-being, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical. But can you share with us just a little bit about your journey of choosing yourself?
Absolutely. And no greater time to share this story than now because I went through a period of, I would say, solitude, where God was gently nudging me to pull back away from social media. I was very heavily into social media as a real estate professional, a coach, a trainer, and not just in real estate. I coach people in their branding and marketing, business development, and innovation. So I was always present, always present. I'm taking on all of these speaking engagements. I'm traveling to different events. I'm mentoring, hundreds of agents, taking on private clients, just doing all the things right, showing up online and having that presence so people can remember Nikki Blakely-Simmons, right? And it became overwhelming. It became very taxing because what I found is that I was losing myself and I was doing so much for other people, allowing people to take advantage of my time, my schedule. Nikki, can I pick your brain? Yes, Nikki, can I get 30 minutes branding free coaching session? Yes, Nikki, can you come speak here? Yes. And before I knew it, I was saying yes to everyone else and saying no to myself. And it started to take a physical and mental and spiritual toll on me. And so I would say probably around August of 23, God just spoke to me and he said, I need you to pull back. I need you to go into your place of solitude and I need you to rebuild your intimate relationship with me so that I can guide you to your next, so I can put you on your next journey. In that moment, I was riding high, doing very well, top producing agent, making lots of money in all of the genres of business I was in, the coaching, the real estate, mentoring, things of that nature. And then my business just dried up. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? What are you doing, God? Why are you taking my income from me? I was thriving and growing and stretching as a professional in this space. My name is, you know, becoming known in this industry, and my business just dried up. And so that moment when God was choosing me, he showed me how to choose me. He showed me how to be grateful for the moment that I was in, because that moment of solitude was a time for me to get to know him more intimately and to get to know myself more intimately. It's a thing about when you cross that 50th barrier or when you hit 50, things just change for a lot of people. And I myself included in that. You think different, you move different, you talk different. And so becoming a half a century old, 50 years old, and reaching a sort of a pinnacle in my career, God was just showing me that it was time for me to, you know, give myself some time to choose me and then choose him so that he can pave the way and the path for my next. And I'm so glad that I did that. I took a year off from social media, was still closing business, not as much as I was, but I was really taking time to just get to know myself and God. And I'm so glad that I did because it set me up for my next, which is what I've walked into in 2025.
Listen, that is powerful. I got chills when you said when God was choosing you, you were also choosing yourself. I've
Mm-hmm.
never heard it interpreted that way. And I think that is beautiful that you went through this journey of not only choosing yourself, but you knew that God was choosing you too. That is powerful. So when you think about where you were before and now, how do you feel just in general?
I feel great, Jessica. I feel accomplished. I feel worthy. I feel smart and intelligent. And the reason why I say that is because I walked away from a lot. As I mentioned before, my brand was very well known. I had a strong footprint, not only in my community, like people knew me all the way on the West Coast. I remember going to an event there, a real estate event, and I had people coming up to me, "Oh my God, you're Nikki Blakely-Simmons. It's so great to meet you." And I'm like, "How do you know me? I live in Atlanta. I'm on the East Coast." Like, what? So to walk away from that is very humbling. And I won't say I walked away from my career because I was still working, but I was working in solitude. So I walked away from the lights and the flash and all of that. And it takes a very mature person in mind, body, spirit, soul, to do something like that. Because, you know, the world that we live in right now, people are so immersed and ingrained in, you know, the limelight through this platform we have called social media, right? And it's become an obsessive tool for a lot of people. And so for me to walk away from that and be so confident in the decisions that I made. Like I did not stress about, oh, if I walk away, my business is going to go down even more. People are not going to remember me. People, and that was the furthest from the truth. Actually, when I walked away, and God did have that moment of that dry spell, if you will, where I didn't transact any business for a while. After I showed my true commitment to Him and myself, He said, "Well done, daughter. You've passed, you know, this, I don't want to say test because God doesn't test us, but I was able to navigate through where He was taking me." And so after that, the business just started rolling in. Like no marketing, no social media, no paying for leads. My phone was just ringing. My text messages were just going off, and I was closing business again. So, how did I feel making a big decision like that when social media is so critical to a sales profession? I felt bold. I felt empowered. I felt like I had a level of prowess that I never had before. And it set me up to grow and stretch not only as a business person, a businesswoman, a business owner, but it put me into a mental capacity to where I know how to control stressors now. I know how to not be pressured into things. I know how to take my time and make wise, calculated decisions and be okay with it without having any of the outside pressures. And that is so important when you're in the entrepreneurial space or small business or thriving to become a big business. That is so important because those things are a part of what we call EQ, emotional intelligence, where you have to understand who you are as a person emotionally. What makes me thrive? What makes me sad? What triggers angst or anxiety within me? What triggers happiness? You know, all of those things are so important. And I think when we understand our own selves from an EQ perspective, emotional intelligence, then we're able to sit well in the decisions that we make.
Heard so many nuggets and things that I can learn and take away, but then also others. You talking about stepping away from this big brand. I'm in Texas, and I know that you are doing amazing things in Georgia, and I've heard people talk about it. So when you think about having that recognition and people knowing you and your brand, and you said even on the West Coast, and you stepping away to isolate and take care of yourself, pour into yourself, being obedient to God, there are so many takeaways from that and lessons because as you mentioned about like social media, there can be so many pressures to do things and keep up with people. And I am fully aware of that there can be this spirit of comparison as well. And when you think about your self-care journey, your I choose me journey, sometimes when you have those pressures or you're comparing other people's journey, it can be difficult because you take yourself away from the path and the journey that is your calling, trying to do someone else's. So during that process of isolation and really focusing on yourself and the business just came. Before that, had you ever experienced that pressure from social media to keep up with others, or maybe not even keep up, but finding it hard not to look at others' journey?
Absolutely. Yes. And it was uncomfortable. It wasn't a good feeling to, in the space of social media, you're out there marketing yourself as best you can to continue to expand your footprint and your brand. And then you're looking at what everyone else is doing around you in the same genre of business, and they've exceeded you, or they're doing better than you, or they have more business than you, or they have a greater outreach. And of course, that really does have an impact on people, no matter what your tax bracket is, your age group is, it has an effect on you. And that was one of the reasons why I was also so comfortable when God told me it was time to go into my place of solitude. I was so comfortable in doing that and letting go because I was never really comfortable in that space anyway. And it's so funny that you asked that question, because so many people, when they hear my story, because I've told this story before, they were like, "Oh my God, Nick, I can't believe you don't like social media. Like, you showed up so well, and your branding and your marketing is so on point." Well, that's because I'm a brand strategist and a marketing professional. I love that stuff. Like, I can create a brand in my sleep. So in saying that, I would rather be behind the scenes creating the magic. And people would find that so hard to believe because I show up so well on the stage, or I show up so well publicly on my social media platforms. But if I had my way, I would not be on social media, not myself. Like, I would prefer to pay someone to do my social media for me. And that was another thing when I would tell people that I did my own marketing and my own branding. They couldn't believe it. They thought I actually had a team, or, hired a company. So when I made that decision to walk away from social media, like I said, I was so proud, and it didn't bother me at all because I never really felt comfortable in that space. But what I would say though, when I was in that space, and you do have the competition, and you do, have the pressures of, I never looked at other people and said I wanted to be like them. My mother didn't raise me that way. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. But I would look at other people and say, okay, how can I be better? And that also creates pressure and stress, right? Because you can look at thousands of other realtors or real estate professionals online. And so now you have 1,000 ways that you can say, how can I be better? Right. But in that moment, when I was still very engaged in social media, one thing that I held strong about was knowing who Nikki was. I never lost sight of who I was. I always remember my mom telling me, there's only one Nikki Blakely-Simmons. No one can be like you. You are your own talent, and no one can match your talent. And so I would just always remember that. And so it was never a competitive thing, a competition. The competition was always with myself. And so that's what helped me to continue to stay in that space and do so well, is to hang on that premise that, Nikki, you are your own competition. So what can you do to outdo yourself?
So as you were speaking, I was going to ask you, how did you manage to stay true to yourself? And you just hit it. um, Thinking about, you're your own competition, the words from your mother, because it is, I feel, and I'm speaking from my experience, and then some of my coaching clients, at times it is somewhat hard to stay true to yourself because you have the pressures of social media and society or family that influence some of the decisions that we make. So I love that you have that in place to stay grounded, stay true to who Nikki is, because I think that can be a challenge for a lot of us. As you've evolved in your career, I know you're going through a rebranding process. Has the way you viewed success and happiness changed over time, even specifically over the last 2 years? Has it changed from what you once thought was success and happiness when you were younger?
Oh, that is such a great question. And the answer is yes. I do view success differently now. Before, once I left corporate America and I was successful in corporate, did well financially. But of course, when you step out into entrepreneurship, there are no caps, there are no ceilings. You can be as successful as you want to be, depending on your drive and your tenacity and your creativity and your will. And so when I first became successful as a realtor, and that led to me expounding upon my coaching and mentoring because I was always in that space. I've been coaching and training for over 25 years. I'm going to be honest with you and your listeners and your audience. I was very money driven. I was money driven not because I have a vain spirit or it was about being able to buy bigger and better things that I never had before. It wasn't about that. It was just about that drive to do better than what I did in corporate America when I depended on someone for a paycheck. It was that drive to be the best entrepreneur that I can be because I'm the first one in my family. And so every year I would work to outdo myself, right? And it was always money driven. It was a dollar sign that created that drive. And I exceeded my goals. I'm a very visual person, so every year I write out my goals, and then I write them out on the big sticky note, post-it paper, and I keep it on my wall in my office where I can see it every day and remind myself of my goals. And every year I wouldn't just meet my goals, I would exceed my goals. That's just how hungry I was. But money is fleeting, right? Money comes and goes, especially if you don't know how to manage it, if you don't know where to put it, in the right places so it can grow. And I was a first time entrepreneur and I made first time entrepreneur mistakes. So this time around, I look at success differently. It's not money driven. I've always had a heart for people, so don't get me wrong. But money was first and people were second the first time around. This time around, people are first and money just comes when it comes because God puts us here and he blesses us so that we can be a blessing for others. And when I understood that, not just spiritually, but from a business perspective as well, I understood my role better as an entrepreneur. So it wasn't just for me to fill my tank, it was for me to fill my tank and then turn around and bless others from that filled tank. So now, as a business owner, my perspective is I'm all about the people. I'm all about taking my talents, my gifts, my treasures, my skills that God has blessed me with, and using that to help save, change, and transform the lives of others. And in doing that, I'm honoring God's will, and the money is going to come. And it has, and it does. So that's my new perspective on business.
I think for some of us, it can be difficult to just trust God's will, one. When it comes to, because I was just having faith that you will be blessed financially, especially if you're very money driven, and that can be a journey for us to transition from that mindset, especially when you think about just some of the goals that are instilled in us. Either that's within your family, your friend group, and even going through college training, certifications, and things like that. One thing that I heard that you share though, leaving corporate America, becoming an entrepreneur and being successful. But in that, it still was very clear that you were focused on choosing yourself and taking care of yourself. You even talked about filling up your cup. So for someone who is, I'm going to assume, very busy because you do a lot of things, you wear a lot of hats, and then you're still very intentional about the people. How do you approach self care? How do you take care of Nikki and make sure that you're nurturing her?
Great question. Before, when I first became a very successful entrepreneur, I didn't do a very good job with self care for Nikki. And I've learned a lot from that experience. This time around, I do things a lot differently. So before, I mentioned early on in the interview that I did not protect my time. So I would allow people to just call me, text me any times of night. I was accepting every invitation that came across my desk. There were just no boundaries. And that was a big learning lesson for me this second time around, is that you have to have boundaries. You have to draw a line in the sand. Those people that like you, love you, know you, trust you, they're going to respect that. And those that don't, they won't respect it. And if they don't respect it, then there's no business there. Nothing there for us to do, because there has to be that mutual respect across the board when you're, dealing with people personally and professionally. So now I do a better job with my self-care. And it's so funny you asked that question, because I was just talking to my mentees last night, and a lot of them were asking me, they're dualpreneurs, so they have full-time jobs and they're working their real estate careers. And they were like, Nikki, how can we be successful this year in our careers and still balance life, home, family, children, husband, partner, what have you? And I said to them, there's no such thing as balance. There's no such thing as balance. You can't balance 50 million things. You can't balance 5 things. You can't balance 3 things. What I've learned in my journey in life and business is you have to prioritize. It's all about prioritization, and that trickles down not only from business and your personal life, family, husband, children, but that trickles down to you and your self-care. So how do we prioritize? It's all about scheduling. It's drawing that line in the sand. Okay, if you work a full-time job 7 to 3, that's the line. 7 to 3, no one can call me or text me or ask me about real estate because I'm working my full-time job. All right. After 3 o'clock, what happens? 3 to 4, you have to go pick up children. You have to get them home. You have to bathe them, feed them, go do homework with them. You got to draw a line in the sand. That's prioritizing. And then what happens next after that? Okay, it's Nikki time. Now I have to woosah. I have to take a hot shower. I have to kick up my feet and journal and read a short article or book. Now, 10 o'clock, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours working my real estate business. And so that's how I structure my life now. And that includes my self care. It's all about prioritization, it's drawing that line in the sand. And I don't allow anyone to cross that line. And I don't cross the line either. And what I mean by that is I hold solid to every block of time that I have on my calendar. It's set in stone, and unless it's an emergency, right? But other than that, I stick to that schedule. So I would say making sure that you know how to prioritize your life, and a part of that prioritization is taking time for self-care.
You obviously your mentees look up to you because they wanted your advice. Like, how do you do it all? And one thing I noticed on my journey, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, is that, so many people look up to you, they reach out, and it's sometimes difficult to put that boundary in place on how much you can give to others outside of the allotted time that you have set. So for you, when you think about either that's your mentees, your clients, how do you balance time? I think one of the most important things on my journey has been community, not just who can support me, but how I support others. But I had to learn very early on. I had to set boundaries because I'm such a giver. I will drain myself. So for you, what does that look like? And how did you have to implement any boundaries if you did?
So for me, um, I'm the same way. I would say yes to everyone. I'm a giver, I'm a lover of people. And so I would just give my time to every organization, every request that came across my desk or my phone. And there was just no shut off. And I couldn't operate like that. It was draining me mentally, physically, emotionally. And so I had an epiphany. And so I said, Nikki, I do want to continue to be a giver. I'm always a lover of people. But how can I sow into the lives of other people and give back, but also prioritize to where I'm not giving so much of myself that I'm depleting my cup and I have nothing left for me. And it took me to learn from my business coach, Cheryl Pullote Williamson, and you can look her up. She's an amazing business coach. It took me learning from her that I can't pour from an empty cup. That's one of her sayings. And I told her she needs to trademark that. But we can't pour from an empty cup. And when she taught me that, the light bulb went off. And I'm like, she's so right. Like it's not right for me to give more away to others than I have to pour into myself. And that might sound selfish to people, but it's being humbly selfish. And what I mean by that is if I'm not in the best mindset, if I'm not strong in spirit, if I'm not strong in might, if I'm not healthy in my body, how can I be a blessing to someone else? I can't. So, from that teaching from my business coach, I've learned that Nikki has to take care of Nikki first. I have to be strong in mind, body, spirit. My cup has to be full and even to the point of running over so that all of the overflow can go to everyone else. Now, who is everyone else? I learned that I had to be intentional. My business coach also taught me, I used to go like to every business conference, every workshop. I'm just spending money left and right. She was like, no, you have to go with intention. Why are you going to give to this organization? Why are you going to this workshop or this conference? What is your purpose? What is your intention? Right? And so when I learned that intention and purpose in giving is very, very important, like your giving has to be for a purpose. And so when I put all those things in my little bowl and I mixed it up, I was able to mix up something great in my business and create those boundaries that were successful for me. And I was still able to give, but from a place of overflow. And it just worked well for myself. I told my mentees last night, my business hours are from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I have two phones. I have a business phone and I have a personal phone. The business phone at 7 p.m., it goes off, it goes into my office, and I don't touch it again until 7 a.m. the next morning. And I shared with them that how you get your clients and your mentees, if you have mentees, to respect your boundaries, your time blocks, is that you have to let them know what to expect of you in the beginning, up front. So when I onboard a new client, I let them know how the process is going to work while you're working with me. These are my work hours. These are the times that I'm going to follow up with you about your transaction. This is the information that you're going to receive from me. And so I think when you're clear up front about your boundaries, then the people that you work with, react with, whether it's business or personal, then they will respect that because you gave the intention or you let them know what to expect up front. And that's how I protect my my space and my me time and my self-care.
I love that you not only have the office hours for your business phone, but you put it away. Because it is so easy to answer that call after 7 p.m. or that text message. But when you can put it away and step away, it really, really helps you to step away from work. So I love that you are just doing so many things and knowing um, how committed you are to the community and to your business and the things that you're doing, but you are still so intentional about taking care of yourself. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and especially women could really benefit from hearing that it is possible, although it takes intentionality. You mentioned that you have a business coach that you've worked with and you've learned a lot. And one thing that I've learned along the way is it's important to have community along this journey. There's been times that I have felt very isolated and alone, and my therapist would have to remind me that you're not alone, right? Just because you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to doesn't mean that you're alone. So for you, has there been anyone that's inspired you along your journey? I know you have your business coach, but has there been anybody else that's just motivated you or supported you along the way?
Absolutely. It's been a plethora of women, and I call them my butterfly sisters. So, my business coach, Cheryl Pelote Williamson, she's an author, playwright, media mogul, just an amazing woman who is stretching her footprint across not only the US domestically, but internationally as well. She created a group called the Butterfly Group, and it was a culmination of women who she's mentored, coached, or done business with. I was a part of her inaugural retreat. We went to St. Lucia in 22, I believe it was. Yes, December of 22. That's her annual retreat that she does every year. And it wasn't a retreat for us to come together and try to sell or, partner or collaborate with business. The retreat was about reset. It was about refreshing ourselves, replenishing ourselves. And it was just so amazing. It was 26 of us, including me, and I gained 25 new sisters from that retreat that I'm still in touch with to this day. We have a text group. We text each other every day. We pray together. We cry together. We share our prayer requests. We share our wins, our losses, our ups, our downs. It's a safe space. There's no judgment. And I've never been a part of a group of women like that from all walks of life, everyone successful in their own right, from um, women in government, women in media, women in the medical field, like so many different genres of business. And we all come together and we just love on each other and we inspire each other, and we patronize each other's businesses. I mean, I could just post, hey, I just released a book. I need your support. Boom. Before you know it, I have $5,000 in sales. So it wasn't just one person, it was a group of 25 women, my butterfly sisters, and who were there for me when I was in a rough place, in my business. And they were just like that support that just kept on coming. It was just like a fountain that just kept, the water just kept coming and kept filling me up. And there's nothing more beautiful than being within a group of women where there's no judgment, there's no competition, there's no one trying to outdo anyone. It's simply, hey, sis, I got you. Hey, sis, I love you. Hey, sis, it's going to be all right. Hey, sis, wake up and keep fighting. And it's just priceless.
Having a strong sisterhood and those not being your biological siblings is a beautiful thing. And I realize there's so many women who've never experienced that. And to have that type of support and love is truly something that is a blessing, but then also keeps you motivated and going when you feel like, sometimes you just want to quit or you need a break. So Nikki, you just thinking about all the things that you are working on that you've accomplished. Um, I think at times it can be difficult for Black women, from my experience with coaching and in my community, for us to celebrate ourselves. And I had to be very intentional a few years ago to celebrate myself, big and small wins. So for you, what does that look like? Are you a person that celebrates your wins? And if so, how do you go about that?
Yes, I do. I've always celebrated my wins. And, some people could look at that as being, overly confident or cocky, whatever word you want to use. But I don't think so. I think that's just being confident and sure of yourself. And your biggest cheerleader should always be yourself. My mom has always told me that since I was a little girl, and I passed that mantra on to my daughter. You should always be your biggest cheerleader. So I'll give an example. Tuesday, I had my first billboard posted here in Metro Atlanta on a very busy highway, I-285 westbound, where there's a lot of traffic every evening. And I called my husband. I said, hey, babe, I said, my billboard is going to be up at 5. And he travels that route going home. I said, so if you can, look out for it. And if you see it, can you stop and take a picture? And I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, but he did. He surprised me like an hour later. And he was like, "Hey, babe, I saw your billboard. You look good, girl." And so he took a snap of it and shared it with me and all the family. And I shared it in my butterfly group and some other places. And I celebrated me. I'm like, "Dang, Nikki, you look good up there on that billboard, girl." So I celebrate myself. It's a way for me to stay positive. It's a way for me to encourage myself to keep moving and climbing higher and higher. There's nothing wrong. I'm going to tell your audience right now, there is nothing wrong with celebrating yourself. Just be humble. Just be humble with it. You know, some people can miss the humble check mark, and then it becomes like arrogance and being conceited, you know, things of that nature. But when you're humble with it, by all means, always celebrate your wins.
That's good. And I think it's so important that you are teaching your daughter that as well, because we get an opportunity to, create generational patterns and habits that, are so important for the next generation. You were, blessed to kind of like that be instilled in you, but for everyone, it's not the same. So being able to show your daughter it's important to celebrate yourself, and it's not always bragging, it's just recognizing your hard work. So congratulations on the billboard. That's huge. And I know that you'll continue to inspire people and have those opportunities to celebrate yourself. For the people who may be struggling and feeling guilty about celebrating themselves and taking care of themselves and just really making themselves a priority, do you have any advice or tips that you would offer to them to kind of get over that challenge?
Feeling guilty about celebrating yourself and self care. Look at it this way: if you do not take care of yourself, and if you do not celebrate yourself, the celebration is just you saying, "Hey, girl, you did that. Keep going. Now elevate to the next level." That's all a part of your self care. You're celebrating yourself is a part of your self care. You're humbly celebrating yourself is your self care. And there's no reason why any roots should be in your garden that have guilt attached to it. Because any type of root, any seed that you plant, negative or positive, is going to continue to grow, and it can grow and become something out of control that you have a hard time getting rid of. You have a hard time cutting down. You have a hard time snatching up so it doesn't come back. So I would say to you, your audience, that you are your first outside of God, if you are a believer, because I know, you know, your audience may have a different faith. But if you are a believer, you have a spiritual being, that is your first, right? That's where your source is, that's where your strength is, that's where your creativity and your focus comes from. But after that, the next natural and rightful order is you. It's God, it's you, and it's family, and then everything else comes after that. So you cannot feel guilty, think guilty, or speak any guilty words about you taking care of you, because you have to take care of yourself so that God can use you. And if your vessel is no good because you feel guilty about taking care of yourself, then you're no good to God and you're no good to anyone else. So I would just tell everyone to say, if you just humbly take care of yourself, celebrate yourself, everyone else around you is going to see that humble light shining through you. I'm going to give you an example really quick, Jessica. I recently switched over to a new brokerage, and I reached out to a handful of agents that I had a very good connection with, very great synergy with, that I wanted to come with me to my new brokerage. And so I got all of them on a Zoom call all at once, gave them information, educated them about where I was and all of the great things that were happening there. And then I closed my meeting out with these words. I said, "I don't want to influence you. I'm not an influencer. I'm an impactor. I want to leave an impact on your life that's lasting. I said, if you come with me and you accept this offer, before you do, I want each of you to text me individually and tell me one thing or one area that I may have failed you in my leadership, my visionary leadership with my former brokerage, and how can I be a better visionary leader with this new brokerage? And I told them, I said, be honest. You know me. These people I work with closely. So I said, I have thick skin. Whatever you say is not going to hurt me. So be honest and transparent. Jessica, the responses that I got brought me to tears. Everyone texted me and said, Nikki, you are an amazing leader. If I have nothing bad to say about you. If there's any negative thing, I feel that you gave too much of yourself to people. That's what my mentee said. They said you gave too much of yourself. And then a couple of other people said, if there's one negative thing I would say is I wish I had more one-on-one time with you. So I say that to say, this is Nikki Blakely-Simmons, a well-known business professional here in the Metro Atlanta area. I humbly celebrate myself. I put myself first after God. I take care of myself. I draw lines in the sand and I stand by my boundaries. And none of those actions to other people outside look like I'm being selfish in any way, form, or fashion. And so, with that being said, celebrate yourself, love on yourself, put yourself first so that your cup is running over, so that the overflow you can give to other people. Take care of your mental, your physical, your spiritual, and have no guilty feelings about it. And the people looking inward will see that beautiful light that you're emitting outwardly, and they'll know that it's nothing negative about it, nothing but beauty. And so that's what I would leave with your guests.
I love that. Wow, for them to say you pour too much into others and wanting to spend more time with you really shows the impact that you're making and you as a leader, right? People can have the title as a leader, but doesn't mean you're a good leader. Doesn't mean that you're an impactful leader. And to hear that lets me know that you're making a difference in their lives, but that they also see the dedication that you have. So I hope somebody is inspired and took away that, it's okay to put yourself first because it also is a trickle down effect when you are leading others, whether it's an official role or just, unofficially leading, and you are seen as a leader or someone that people look up to, they see when you prioritize yourself. And if you make it a priority and they see you making a priority, it will help them also see that it's important to do the same. So I love the way you worded that. Now, Nikki, this is my favorite question of the podcast. And I truly connect with this because this is like a love letter to my younger self. But if you could have a conversation with younger Nikki, what would you tell her?
If I could have a conversation with the younger Nikki, what would I tell her? Always think positive because positivity leads to your peace. Protect your peace because your peace also leads to your patience. Those are three areas that I struggled with as a child, teenager, young adult, is not always thinking and speaking positively, not always protecting my peace. And I've always struggled with patience. And this year, that's the theme for my life. Every year I have a theme for my life. And this year, it's positivity, patience, positivity, peace, and patience. So if I were writing a letter to my younger self, I would say, Nikki, always think and speak positive, no matter what the situation is, good, bad, or indifferent, because your thoughts and your words matter. Secondly, Nikki, always protect your peace because when you give someone else control of your peace, that's when you lose control of your life. And thirdly, Nikki, always be patient because patience is where your blessings come from. When you can sit and wait in the worst of times and the best of times, and you sit and you wait patiently with great expectation, that's when the blessings abound you and overflow. Nikki, I love you. You go, girl.
Yes, I love it. I absolutely love that. And I think it's so important that we have a relationship with our younger self, especially for some. We have to remind our younger self that we're okay now, whatever you had, based on how you were raised or things that you've done in the past, things that you may consider are a mistake. If you thought you were too hard on yourself, it's okay to talk to your younger self, whether that's a letter or just letting your younger self know that you're good and that you are successful and you've done what you needed to do. So, Nikki, I have just asked you a lot of questions. You dropped a lot of gems with us today, but is there anything else that you would like to share that we did not already capture when it comes to Nikki, you choosing yourself, and anything else regarding like all the amazing things that you're doing?
Thank you, Jessica. First, I just want to thank you for giving me this hour on your podcast. It's been amazing. I loved your questions, very thoughtful and insightful. The only thing I would just like to leave your audience with is that I am a lover of people. I love, absolutely love giving back and educating people. I love to see people thrive and be the best that they can be in life. And so I would just tell everyone to love on you, dream in color, always have faith in yourself, and be committed to your own success and be your biggest cheerleader. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me online. I am making my way back to social media, so be patient with me. I'm building out all new socials, starting from a clean slate. But I am at the Nikki Blakely-Simmons on Instagram, on Facebook, and LinkedIn is just Nikki Blakely-Simmons. And you can reach me. My website is nikkiblakelysimmons.com. And I have some amazing coaching programs that are coming out this year. I'm super excited. So I'm mixing up something great, creating some great content for adult learners to help them excel in their business with their business innovation, their continuous improvement in their businesses, as well as helping people with their branding and their marketing. So if any of those things check any of the boxes that you're in need of for your business in 2025, connect with me.
Awesome. And I'll definitely include your links and ways that people can connect with you with this podcast because there are some amazing things that I know that you're doing. And with your rebranding, I can't wait to see. So, for everyone out there, the information will be dropped for you to easily, accessibly be able to connect with Nikki. But, Nikki, thank you so much for blessing us today on my podcast and sharing about your I Choose Me story and how you're prioritizing yourself in addition to being able to have such a successful brand and business. So I thank you for joining me and for everyone out there. Until next time, I hope that you have a great day. Thank you.